Attention, healthcare professionals, and welcome. I'm Jason Reed, and in the next 21 minutes, I'm going to teach you the 3 things you need to know to become cyber secure and HIPAA compliant without having to take focus away from patient care and patient volume. If you are a provider or administrator running a clinic or a practice who is concerned about security and compliance, or if you don't know how serious the implications are or how vulnerable your practice is, and you would like to focus your concern on patient care instead, then this will be the most important video you watch all year. Here's why. There is an actual HIPAA wall of shame, and in 2020, there were more than 29 million healthcare records breached, resulting in over $20 billion in damages. We'll get into more detail on this later, but think about this. Most people only slow down after they get a speeding ticket, but in this case, we're not talking about a $150 fine. You could lose your practice, your reputation, your trust in the community, and all your hard work destroyed due to an oversight on something that can easily be managed properly if using a specialized HIPAA compliance firm to help you get a plan into place. However, compliance and cybersecurity cannot be ignored any longer, and achieving compliance and cybersecurity is a distractor from what matters most: patient care and patient volume. You likely have malpractice insurance, professional liability insurance, property insurance, practice overhead insurance, and maybe others. Now imagine coming into work one morning to care for patients when you get the news. Our computer and files are locked. We cannot access anything, and they are demanding a ransom to unlock them, or they will release the contents to the public. As you tell the patients waiting in the lobby that you cannot see them, they get up to leave, and a few reach for their cell phones and turn around to snap a picture of you and the building sign. They have posted on social media that your practice has suffered a ransomware attack. Now, what insurance can you put into place to avoid the monetary and reputational damage to prevent this? In just a second, you'll discover the 3 things you need to know so you can walk in and care for those same patients without worry. Without worry or distractions, you can practice without interruptions. The day continues on as normal because the ransomware attack could have and should have been avoided. Plus, in this video, you'll also discover how to get personal help and guidance to make achieving your goal of taking care of patients while not worrying about compliance or cybersecurity a reality, for free. You're probably asking yourself right now, why should I trust this guy? Hi, my name is Jason Reed, along with my co-founder, Zach Barch. And for the past 15 years, we've been helping people just like you to achieve the highest standards of security and compliance so they can focus on what really matters to them. So they don't have to navigate a cyber incident response, prove HIPAA compliance, or worry about their practice being publicly shamed and losing business for suffering a breach or ransomware attack. We started this business because after serving as Air Force cyber operations officers, we wanted private healthcare companies to have the same level of protection as those in the Department of Defense. Plus, when we took on our first HIPAA client, we became mandated by the exact same HIPAA requirements as well, per the omnibus rule. The requirements from HIPAA closely matched many of the cybersecurity compliance inspections we went through in the Air Force. And that is why compliance really makes sense to us and why we chose to focus on it solely. In addition to that, we are passionate about serving our clients because, for one, I came from a family of healthcare providers, and now I'm married to a cardiac nurse. I know how much you'd rather focus on patient care and/or patient volume much more than worrying about cybersecurity or compliance. You deserve someone who understands that and who is skilled at cybersecurity and compliance in your corner. We have found that many practices just don't have the resources to adequately focus on security and compliance in addition to the excellent patient care that they provide. Take, for example, Dr. Brian Lopez, who says, RTB Technologies has been able to demystify the cybersecurity process and provided me the peace of mind knowing that we have a team of experts protecting us. He also says, moreover, I highly recommend RTB Technologies for medical and behavioral health providers who need to meet the extensive requirements of being HIPAA compliant and sensitive data protection needs. Thank you, RTB Tech. Or take Ms. Lane, who says RTB can confidently and securely support your organization and take the burden of IT support, security, and HIPAA compliance off your and your employees' hands. The bottom line is, we get our clients results. We'd love to help you too, but first, let's talk about the 3 most important things you need to know to focus on patient care and patient volume without having to be concerned about cybersecurity or HIPAA compliance. Step number 1 is prioritize your efforts. Know the difference between required and addressable specifications. Now, that's not to say addressable specifications are not necessary, but it is a great starting point to understand how to prioritize your resources. You cannot do everything at once. Step number 2 is to schedule and conduct annual risk assessments. Organization-wide risk assessments are a mandatory part of HIPAA, and businesses will fail an audit if they are unable to provide evidence of a valid risk assessment. Step number 3 is prevent attacks with advanced threat detection and response technology. Now, you won't find this terminology in a HIPAA checklist because checklists are designed to provide flexibility with technology solutions. However, cybercrime is constantly evolving, and so must the technology to prevent it. Let's start with the required versus addressable specifications. As stated previously, knowing which ones are required is a great starting place for knowing how to prioritize. Addressable specifications are slightly different and provide more flexibility, but they are not optional. The HIPAA security checklist tells you which items are required, which allows you to do your due diligence while investing in the appropriate amount of resources. If ever in doubt, companies should act rather than debate what is addressable or required. Here's why this is so serious. Around 2016, the Office of Civil Rights within the Department of Health and Human Services got fed up with not being taken seriously and switched from being a compliance organization to enforcement. They knew that to be taken seriously, they would need to increase fines for non-compliance and make examples of people when necessary. Take, for example, this medical imaging company. I'm purposefully leaving the name out because they still do business in Colorado. This imaging company was informed by the FBI that one of its servers hosting protected health information, PHI, was open and available to the internet. To make matters worse, the information was indexed by search engines such as Google. This meant that electronic PHI could be found simply by Googling it. Even after the servers were removed, search engines store this data in cache, making it still available online. It was reported to OCR, but the imaging company initially reported that no patient data was compromised. OCR launched an investigation and found a few more things wrong, including willful neglect of their obligation to protect PHI, resulting in a $3 million fine. Don't forget that this due diligence is not only what will keep you off the wall of shame, but also ensures that insurance companies will pay your claims. And that's right, there is a HIPAA wall of shame, as I mentioned earlier. It is actually called the breach report on the OCR website, and it contains the name of the covered entity, the state, the covered entity type, the number of individuals affected, breach date, type of breach, and location of breached information. And insurance companies have lost a lot of money and are only paying out claims when it can be proven that you are holding up your end of the bargain by doing your due diligence. Cyber insurance claims are the fastest growing claim in the commercial insurance world, and claims are up 200% in the last 2 years. And a third-party perspective is great for your peace of mind, as well as a powerful tool to prove compliance and due diligence. And this gives the power back to you by being able to prioritize what you see fit as the biggest issues. As long as you acknowledge the other issues and show that you have a plan to fix it, then you are covered. RTB is qualified to help you get a plan into place, and it is affordable. Next is schedule and conduct annual risk assessments. Risk assessments are not only mandatory for HIPAA compliance, but necessary for an objective look at your risk for a breach or attack. If you cannot provide evidence of a valid HIPAA risk assessment, then you will surely fail an audit and likely be fined by the Office of Civil Rights. Remember that the purpose of risk assessments is to determine how likely the covered entity's PHI can be breached in its current configuration. Be objective. This is an opportunity for you to look at the organization and identify areas for improvement. You should look to identify gaps and strengthen controls. Be sure to avoid justifying that existing controls are good enough or aren't going to change. Now, don't be a statistic. 11 of the 15 Colorado companies on the list since 2020 are there because of a hacking or IT incident. The breach report, also known as the HIPAA Wall of Shame that I mentioned earlier, is a list of organizations that have had a breach of 500 or more records. Now, of course, that list does not include the unknown number of practices able to stay under the radar or pay the ransom. The US government has recently created a ransomware task force in an effort to get a handle on the situation and disrupt ransomware payments. And this means that the days of paying a ransom under the radar and moving on are over, or at least close to it, because the government seeks to track all instances in an effort to fight back. Now back to conducting your own risk assessments. Be sure to include where electronic PHI could be, not just where it should be. To be effective, also consider thumb drives, local hard drives, email, mobile devices, fax and copiers, which are all often overlooked and could intentionally or unintentionally be at risk. Low-hanging fruit is a great starting point because huge progress can be made by taking care of simpler issues. Examples include identifying a HIPAA security officer, ensuring security awareness training is taking place, and looking at vendor and contractor management policies. Once the risk assessment is complete, you will be presented with findings and remediation steps. The risk assessment document is designed to be an evolving document that is updated periodically, and the recommended actions should have a remediation plan with estimated completion dates. As a point of emphasis, know that following through is at least as important as identifying the issues in the first place. The third thing you need to know to be cybersecure and HIPAA compliant so that you could focus on patient care and volume is to prevent attacks with advanced threat detection and response technology. Now don't worry, I won't get too technical here. The main takeaway that I want you to understand is that as threats evolve, so must the defense. Also, you may hear slight variances of this terminology, such as advanced threat protection software, endpoint, detection and response, and others, but the concepts are the same. And as you well know, prevention is better than a cure, and that is the benefit offered by advanced threat protection software. Having the right solutions in place gives the benefit of the ability to prevent, detect, and respond to new and sophisticated attacks that are designed to circumvent traditional security solutions such as antivirus and firewalls. As attacks become increasingly targeted, stealthy, and persistent, these advanced solutions take a proactive approach to security by identifying and eliminating advanced threats before data is compromised. Add on to that the community of security professionals dedicated to monitoring, tracking, and sharing information about emerging and identified threats. With all this emphasis and effort to protect PHI, you may be asking yourself, why is medical data so valuable to cyber criminals? It is worth 10 to 40 times more than your credit card number on the black market, especially when records contain social security numbers, which unlike credit card numbers, can never change. Another reason that there are so many different ways to use that data on the dark web is it can be used to purchase prescriptions, receive treatment, or make false medical claims. Social security numbers cannot be easily canceled, and medical prescription records are permanent. These actions can cause long-term and widespread chaos for those whose information has been stolen. A breach of PHI can pose a real threat to patients and healthcare systems alike. It's our responsibility as the good guys to protect it. So far, you've discovered that prioritizing a starting point, scheduling assessments, and using advanced threat protection solutions will make you more secure and compliant. But it's crucial that you understand this one thing. You can avoid the ransomware nightmare, government fines, public shaming, and potential loss of business. Control your own destiny and public perception by being proactive. It's not a matter of if you get attacked, it's a matter of when. And it does not matter what size company you have. But the good news is, you do not have to be a victim. In fact, you can be victorious. The question you might be wondering right now is, how can I implement this for my practice? Well, there are two ways you can get this result. The first method is trial and error. Unfortunately, this is the slow, painful, and more expensive option, well, because of trial and error. But because you're watching this video, it shows that you're serious about getting results quickly. And my guess is that you want to get results quickly, without struggle and without stress. And the easiest way to do that is by not reinventing the wheel. And the second way to get these results is to work with somebody who does this for a living and knows all the ins and outs and who is up on the newest threats and latest technology to protect your business. And that is why we would like to personally create a strategic plan for overcoming your largest areas of risk. There is no charge for this, and it will only take between 45 and 60 minutes. After doing this for 15 years, we've gotten good at quickly getting to the crux of the matter. We will do most of the heavy lifting for you, showing you how to tackle your biggest areas of risk with options for each. At the end of this initial planning session, one of two things will happen. One, you'll love the plan and decide to try to implement it on your own. And if that's the case, I'll wish you the best of luck and thank you for meeting with us. Second, you'll love the plan and ask to become a client so that we can personally help you execute it and benefit from it as soon as possible. It really is that simple, and there is no catch. Think about this. The worst that can happen is that you invest 45 to 60 minutes of your time and get some excellent information. The best that can happen is that you'll work with us to build the program that needs to be in place so that you can concern yourself elsewhere. Here's how this works. First, we'll meet with your most knowledgeable person in compliance and security. Then, based on the answers to a series of questions, we'll provide a high-level report card to give you an idea of where you stand. And finally, you will have options on how to decrease the risk in each area. By the time we're done talking, you'll have a complete understanding of the areas in which you carry the most risk and your options for mitigating that risk. And remember, there is no charge for this. So why should we offer this to you? 2 reasons. First, we enjoy it. This is what we do best, and it makes us happy to see someone do what they do best. And in this case, taking care of patients is what you do best. Second, this is how we attract clients. And here's how that works. Assuming you're happy and you want us to implement the plan for you, we might invite you to become a client. But if you think about it, it really doesn't cost you anything. Why? Because this is a starting point for security and compliance, whether we are partners or not. It gives each of us an idea of whether we want to continue working together, and the result of the consultation will give you enough knowledge to start building a plan for moving forward. And if you decide not to become a client, that's fine too. You won't get any pressure or sales pitch ever. The truth is, this is not for everyone. We are very selective about who we take on as clients and have a set of criteria that needs to be met in order to proceed. Here it is. First, you need to be serious about achieving HIPAA compliance. It takes effort and commitment. Even if outsourcing the majority of the work, there is still commitment required, although not nearly as much as there would be if attempting to handle it all in-house. Second, you need to be serious about protecting your critical data. Cybersecurity and threats are always evolving, and your environment should be assessed periodically to ensure you have the best protection available. Third, you need to be coachable. We will be involved with your organization and designated security officer. The amount of time is situationally dependent, but there will need to be multiple and ongoing conversations as compliance and security is an ongoing effort. We have come across people who say they're serious about security and compliance, but when actions do not match words, it puts all parties at greater risk. Here's what to do next. Assuming you meet the criteria and would like to talk to us, we will happily set time aside for you. The process for that is as follows. First, you will be asked to complete a simple application. Don't worry, there aren't any hard questions. We want to get some information in advance so that our time together is as productive as possible. After you complete the application, you'll be taken to my online calendar so you can select a time to talk. Again, your initial meeting with us will be between 45 and 60 minutes. This is where we'll start working together and figure out what your goals are and how best to achieve them. If at the end of your meeting, you decide you want to become a client and we agree it's a good idea, great, we'll discuss it. Again, if you decide you don't want to become a client, that's fine as well. Warning, time is of the essence. We've allocated a limited amount of time for these free strategy sessions. We spend most of our time working with clients to get them results. So if you feel like this is right for you, book your free consultation below and get access to the application, and then schedule a time to meet with us. This is your opportunity to get advice from true experts about how you can get your organization HIPAA compliant and cyber secure with minimal effort on your part, without cost or obligation. If this sounds good to you, book your free consultation below to set up a time for us to chat. Meetings are accepted on a first-come, first-served basis. Book below and get started now while it's fresh in your mind. Thank you for taking the time today to watch this video. I truly hope that you're able to gain some value from it. Those 3 things are a great starting point for getting a grip on your security or compliance so that your focus can be where it should be, which is taking care of your patients and/or increasing your patient volume. So thank you again for watching to better understand how important this is. If you've come this far, it tells us you're serious. And also, if you've come this far, we would think you're serious enough and should schedule a free consult with us now. You have nothing to lose, but we can only accommodate a limited number of consultations per month. We look forward to working together soon, and have a fantastic day.